what our day jobs demand, we've spent some serious time researching neuroscience. The pattern we keep seeing is the way we think shapes the way we behave. And over time, those behaviors shape our outcomes, often before we even realize we've made a choice.
So, in that research of neuroscience, it opened the door to neuroplasticity, habit loops, stress responses, micro decisions, all the brainy stuff that explains why just try harder is a trash strategy. In this lab, we're rewiring habits one experiment at a time.
Welcome to I Squared Lab. Okay, we are going to just dive into the nerdy science on this one. Who first developed self-perception theory? And I know these sound like funky words that we don't really say very often, but I want to get into this because this is really important. If you are trying to change anything about yourself, habits, the way you look at things, maybe find out your new why, like this is something I don't think people talk about enough. So self-perception theory was first introduced by Dr. Daryl Bem. He was a social psychologist, and in 1967 to 1972, he proposed something that was kind of wild at the time. People often learn what they believe about themselves by observing their own behavior, the same way they observe other people. So you judge other people the way they're behaving. Well, you're judging yourself, and you're always there, and you're always judging. And it could just be one layer below the conscious level at the subconscious level. This was actually a major shift at the time from the idea that internal emotions always drive behavior. Bem showed that sometimes it's the behavior that shapes the emotion and the identity. This is really important for us to get into because the way I show up at a party and stick to my plan, whether I do it or don't, is I'm completely observing that. And the core idea here to wrap our heads around is like, okay, I get it, Lori. We're judging and observing ourselves, even in the subconscious level. Like even when we don't think we are, this is actually what's happening. But the core idea here is that when you're unsure what you believe, feel, or want, your brain looks at your actions and draws conclusions about who you are. So example, I've been walking every morning. I must be someone who cares about my health, and that's important to me. I've been snacking in the evening. I must be someone who likes to snack in the evening. But if that's against what you want to do, that would get you closer to your goal, that's cognitive dissonance. That's when things aren't aligned and you're just unsure. So, self-perception theory. Identity is shaped by what we repeatedly do, not what we intend to do. And I have an example of this. So early on in weight loss mode, like you kind of don't go out to eat at first because you're just like, I don't know. I don't know what's in that food. I don't know what's going on. Uh, it's something that you can't really control very well. So, but I mean, I was in weight loss mode for 18 months, and you're not going to never go out to eat in 18 months. And actually, I want to get into something with you when you did Weight Watchers and you were moving into a new house around that. So if people think that they can't eat out, it absolutely can happen. And you can still stay on plan. It's totally possible. But when I, excuse me, when I would go out to eat, I was about maybe 4 or 5 months into weight loss mode. I was like, okay, I can't never go out to eat. So I'm going to have to learn how to live life like this. So here we go. when I would go out and stick to my plan and I left the place, I always felt amazing. I felt so good. Like I walked out of there like I just had the shrimp, the broccoli, and the butter, and I feel amazing. Or, hey, I asked for what I needed because they didn't have exactly what I was looking for on the menu, but I asked if they would, instead of the potatoes, do you mind just giving me a side salad? And can I have the ranch on the side? And I really don't want croutons or cheese on that. Can you, not that you can't have those things and still lose weight. Like there's a way to do those things. So I don't want people to think that you can't have croutons and cheese on a salad and still lose weight. Like it's possible. It's absolutely possible. But that's just what I did at the time. And there's this little dopamine hit that I think I would get when I would leave. Like, I'm one step closer to my goal. Here we go. And my brain was looking at what I was doing. And what I don't know, and maybe we could talk through this, is what did I really believe about my identity at the time? So I don't know that I really knew what it was going to look like for me as I continued through weight loss mode, as I kept losing the weight. Okay, I've lost 50. Okay, I've lost 100. Okay, I've lost 125, which is what I lost when I was with Weight Watchers. I lost 125 pounds. And that was the point when I kind of thought I would get tripped up. And I actually did a little bit. If I look back on my logs, I slowed down at about that 125 pound weight loss mark. But I was like, no, let's keep going. And then I sailed past. And then I thought I would get tripped up at going from the 200s and seeing a 1 in front of my number on the scale. I thought I would really get in my head about that, but I sailed right past that. So there were all of these milestones that I really thought I was going to get tripped up at. I needed to continue to update my belief around what I wanted. And I think that's important when we're talking about the self-perception theory. You want to talk a little bit about how you just ate out all the time?
Every meal. Yeah. So we were building a home. So we sold our current house and we were building a fairly large home because mom and dad were going to move in with us. They had retired. And we thought, for some reason, crazy idea, they're probably never going to listen to this podcast, so I'll just say it. We thought it would be a good idea.
To be fair, I never thought it was a good idea.
Yeah,
you and Adam thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, my husband and I. More my husband than me, honestly. I think
There's no way.
Yeah,
I love them.
Yeah,
no.
Our parents are great, but they are not somebody that you would want to live with. So in my mind, I thought, they're retired. I think it'll be nice. Our father had a travel trailer, RV. I think it was an RV at the time. And we thought, he's going to go camping every weekend. They're going to be living the life. This will give them a home base. We'll help take care of them because we'll be able to mow the lawn. And, they can just be retired and enjoy their life. We had this thought in our heads. So anyways, we were building a house. So it was probably about 6 months, maybe 6 or 7 months. And we lived in the basement at our aunt's house. It's actually our mom's twin sister. So we lived in this basement. We did not have a kitchen. So we did not use our aunt's kitchen. It was just not, she would have let us. But.
Absolutely. And me and Randy lived there for a while before we moved into our home. And it was a walkout basement. Like for the listeners, like it was a nice basement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not like we were like
living in squalor.
No. It's a nice basement. And Lori and Randy, like she said, they lived there, and it had a bedroom with a door.
Yeah.
It had a closet. It was very nice, but no kitchen, no bathroom either. We had to go upstairs to use the bathroom, which is fine. It's not like we were destitute, but no kitchen. So we didn't cook dinner. Luckily, at our work, we have a cafeteria, so I can make pretty wise choices for lunch. But every dinner was out, and we were doing Weight Watchers, and so every meal, if I wanted breakfast, lunch, or dinner, it was eating out, and I was able to figure that out. And I did really good. A previous podcast, I talked about discipline for me with structure. And I think thinking back to me saying that, it was having plan A, B, and C. Discipline for me is structure, because if plan A doesn't work, I have plan B and C there, meaning I can still stick to my plan, because I would have a smaller lunch, generally a grilled chicken and a salad. That way for dinner, I have more points at the time. And I'm using air quotes because those Weight Watchers, I'd have more points at the time. So you have a little bit more freedom going out to eat for dinner. You can have a little bit more food that way. You have more freedom to choose something off the menu. And you generally have several options, because we don't know what restaurant we're going to go to. We want to have some freedom. We want some options. Maybe we don't want Mexican that night, because Mexican food is very easy to compartmentalize.
I think it is. I think it's
So
one of
easy.
the easiest things to
We can say
stay
no
on
chips.
any kind of weight loss
Yeah.
plan.
You can say, I don't want chips,
Yeah.
which is, they kind of look at you like you're crazy, but no chips. So it's easy to compartmentalize that. But maybe you don't want Mexican that night, so you're going to go somewhere else. So it's nice to have those options. And that's why, to me, just, having the structure, having those plans is discipline, because I was able to stay on plan.
And you guys had your probably, I'm just making this up, your core 10
Oh,
restaurants
yeah.
that you would go to. And
Yeah.
so once you knew what was kind of your go-to meal, you just that was repeatable, of course.
I had a lot of the same stuff, at a lot of the same restaurants. Chick-fil-A, grilled chicken nuggets.
It's an easy one.
Yeah, it was so easy. We went to Panera Bread a lot, actually. I just didn't get bread.
We went to McAllister's a lot
Mhm.
after, which is kind of like a Panera.
Yeah, a lot like a Panera. Texas Roadhouse, no bread. I don't want the bread rolls. Just places like that. You just get your favorites. It's interesting that you said that. What you said before, your plateau, where you kind of went off, because once the house was built, I plateaued.
That's interesting. You did. So we were losing about the same. At the time, I was about 50 pounds heavier than you when we started that time around the mountain. We'll just talk about it like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to catch up with her. But we were both losing at the same
Mhm.
clip. So you were always about 50 pounds, 55 pounds
Yep.
less than I was. So
I got a kitchen and I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, what do I cook?
You were
I don't know what to
also-
do.
you were also
Stressed as all hell with mom and dad living with us.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's another thing. That's another podcast for another day.
Yeah.
You were also at a pretty comfortable weight.
Yeah, I had lost, at that point, probably 80, 85 pounds. I still lost another 20 pounds after that. I just slowed down a little bit.
You were in the 100s at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in Wonderland.
Because you got down to about 170,
Yeah, 175, 170.
Mhm. which I think is a really good weight for you.
I was very comfortable at that weight.
Something that you see you could maintain long term,
Yeah.
which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
What do you think it was about that? If you look back on it, I mean, each small action we have is like that signal to our brain, right? Choosing the stairs. I'm someone who chooses movement. Drinking water. I take care of myself. Logging food. I'm someone who pays attention. Going to bed or having bedtime boundaries. All right. I respect my limits, my boundaries, my goals. Your brain watches what you do, and it just is always quietly updating that identity file. I mean, this is exactly how neuroplasticity works. Small repeated actions create new automatic pathways. You're unlearning, relearning, you're making that stuff. And so, I mean, it was probably a perfect storm. It was multiple things when you stopped. But do you think there was anything about the way around this self-perception theory when you stopped going out to eat, when there wasn't that structure there for you, when that wasn't a constant, like now there was a different environment? Because you were doing it we were probably about a year in when that happened. Um, you're right. You lost about another 20 pounds when you were there, but then we both just stopped. And then it was around the same time where we kind of held the weight maybe for a week or two, but then then I just stopped getting on the scale. That for me, if I stop getting on the scale, automatic red flag.
Yeah.
I'm starting down a path that I'm either turning a blind eye to it.
I kept going for a bit. I really tried to keep going, but it was hard. It was hard to go to the meetings. It was hard without my partner in crime. Like it was hard. I don't know. Trying to think. I feel like with self-perception, it kind of reminds me of the sayings like, you fake it till you make it.
I think you're right, though. Fake it till you make it, because you are starting to do the actions. Even though you don't really 100% believe it, you're still doing the actions, and then that's updating that brain's identity loop. I mean, science shows action leads to identity, leads to belief, then leads to really the momentum.
Yeah. And it's funny because people, even just this week, I've only been doing what I'm doing for a couple weeks. And a coworker brought in donuts. He is the donut man. And he offered me one. And in my head, I just said to myself, that donut is not for me. I don't eat donuts.
Did you say it out loud?
No,
Or did you just say
in
it
my
to
head.
yourself? Oh.
In my head, I was like, I don't eat donuts. In my head, I said it. It's just interesting. It was already starting to kick in. That I think that was probably self-perception theory. I'm already telling myself, you're not a person who eats donuts.
Even if you don't believe it 100%, you're updating the script.
Yep, already.
And I think that's what is the saving grace for anyone who's on a weight loss journey or looking to update any kind of habits is, instead of, it is the just do it and then your beliefs follow. It's actually great news for people trying to lose weight or improve habits, because you don't have to feel ready.
Right.
You just need one small behavior to start the identity snowball.
Take the first step and then the journey will follow.
And then you just keep doing it.
Yep.
And then you just keep doing it. And I know that's not easy. I'm just saying.
No, but yeah,
You
the reflexes kind of come into play, and
Exactly.
you just move forward. With movement comes momentum. I like that. Oh, I remember. We did that thing like in our 20s, and we kept saying that statement or saying phrase, speak it into existence. Do you remember that?
Yeah. So the thing you're referring to is we did this pyramid scheme. It used to be like Amway, and then it was Quick Star, and then God knows what. It's probably rebranded into something today.
It was actually really fun, but
It was because we learned a lot. That's where we read the book.
Oh gosh, what was it called?
The Four Personalities.
Oh yeah, sanguine,
Choleric, melancholy, and phlegmatic.
I was
What's
a
the book
melancholy
called?
phlegmatic. You were choleric, weren't you?
Yep, you're melancholy. Randy's phlegmatic.
Yeah.
These were the
Adam's
four
a choleric too. You and Adam are choleric.
These were the four personalities that people fall into from Socrates.
That's what it is.
I think it's called the Four Personalities, something like that. But anyways, we read, that was probably maybe if I could pinpoint something in our lives that we like started self-development type stuff. Like I'd never read a self-development book. I mean, I was like 24.
Yeah, I was 21.
Yeah, so I was 24.
Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were like, what is this? But we devoured that book. It was so interesting because it was, me and Randy are opposites. I'm a choleric, which means like order, command. We got this down, organization. And
you influence things. You want control.
And he'll fall asleep at a party. He's like, what?
Very laid back, easygoing.
He'll show up. And I've even told this group before, he'll show up on vacation with a paper bag and one pair of underwear and swim trunks. And he's like, it's cool. I can just wash everything else.
Yeah. I'm a melancholy, which is like I think I'm different from everybody else. Moody artist. I don't know.
Her sock drawer is like organized by color. Her pens and pencils are just at a perfect angle on the desk. Everything is very precise.
Yeah.
You eat the grapes from the bottom up. There is no disorganized way of eating grapes off of a bunch of grapes.
Everything has its place.
And then there's sanguines, which are the life of the party. They're the ones that will totally forget where they park their car when they go into places. And typically you see a sanguine married up with a melancholy, which are two. There's a beautiful story in the book about how a sanguine, just living life as it is, they were on their honeymoon and he was a melancholy. He was somebody who wants order and somebody who doesn't give a rip about
Opposites
order.
attract.
Opposites attract.
Yeah.
And that's where me and Randy, I was like, it makes sense that we're together. I'm a cleric. He's a phlegmatic. We're like complete opposites in that regard. And they were on their honeymoon and there was, I mentioned the grapes because that's what the story was about. They were on a beach. They had a bunch of grapes on a vine, and she just started plucking the grapes off at random. And he was just appalled that someone could eat grapes in an unorderly way. And it went into like he had a sister growing up that was also sanguine, and like his mom was like, "God's preparing you for your future wife."
Aww.
I love that story.
It is cute.
Anyways,
Yeah.
so that's the sidebar.
Yeah.
That was the book that we had read, but it was in this program that one of the big things they talked about was
Speak it into existence.
Yeah.
Which is, I felt my brain connected it to the self-perception theory. If you speak something into existence, then eventually the thought is that it would come true. Your brain would connect it eventually into existence. You would think it to be
because your
true
brain
eventually.
doesn't know the difference between reality and the reality you have concocted, which is, oh gosh, if we go down the road of anxiety and panic attacks, your brain does not know that you're not being chased by a tiger, even though you're reacting to what could be considered to some as a benign situation in a very heightened way.
It's very real
It's
to your brain.
Very
Yeah.
real. And I don't know if this group knows, but I suffered from severe panic attacks in my mid to late 20s. Severe.
You mentioned it in one of the podcasts.
I did. Good.
Yeah.
It was
I don't
not,
remember which one, but you mentioned it in one
It
of the
was-
podcasts. Yeah. I think the OCD one.
I don't wish that on anybody. It was a thing to go through. And one of the biggest things, and I think I probably said this story, was that three different people can be in the same situation and completely look at the situation in a different way, which how much of this road we're on to maintain and weight loss is that same way. You could look at it as a restriction, as a dire thing, as I'm in jail because I can't have this other food that's comforted me. And then, or you can be like, this is me now. This is what's best for me. This is actually what makes me feel my best.
And what was your saying at the beginning of the year? Through discipline is, I'm going to get it wrong, is freedom?
Oh, yeah.
Is freeing? What was it saying? I'm getting it wrong.
Discipline can be wildly liberating.
Liberating. Yes. Sorry, that was a slap at my knee. 'Cause I was like, that was awesome. Everybody can probably hear that.
There was one thing that I was thinking that I had done before when I was on the 8,000 times around the mountain with Weight Watchers. I think you did this too. We, at the beginning of each week, or after you weigh in,
I know where you're going, yeah.
you have the next week, I would take this piece of paper and I would write the weight that I wanted to be at the end of, by the time we weighed in again. I mean, I think I don't know. I don't keep a ton of things, but there's some random things I'll open a tub that we have downstairs. I'll be like, what on earth I'm like, I'm not getting rid of this paper that says 243, 18,000 times on it. And I would just write, if I was 245 and I wanted to be 243 by the next weigh in, I would just be like 243. And then just over and over. And I just would fill the page. And I would do that every single time. And every time I would hit that number or beat the number. If I did it. And there would be a week where I wouldn't do it because I wasn't always super consistent and I wouldn't hit it.
Yeah.
And there's something about you focusing in your attention density It's this focus on what you're telling your brain is super important to you. There's so much power in that. And I don't think we give that enough credit,
Mm-hmm.
which is speaking into
Yeah,
existence.
it's another form of it. I would do it on paper. I would also just,
You did the same thing?
I did the same thing. And I would also just think it in my mind too. Like you're in the shower, you're just washing your hair and I'm like 2:43, 2:43. And I would just think it in my head. I would also visualize like if I had a vacation coming up in a couple months and I would do the math in my head because I'm obsessive. And I would be like, oh, in 2 months I'd be, down
20 pounds down.
20, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so I would be 223. And at 223, I should be able to fit in this pair of pants. So I'll be able to take that on the trip and I'll look like this and I'll feel like this. And then you just really start to obsess about it and that attention density. And you're right. When your brain focuses on something and that attention density and that emotional intensity as well. So when your brain, I'm going to go really
You're right, though. I
fun
forgot about
sciencey
that,
on that. Yeah.
that part. Go into it.
So our brains are lazy. And so when we have emotional intensity on something and emotional like attention density on something, our brains realize that, it recognizes that. And because it doesn't want to spend so much energy on something, it just automatically moves that thought into our subconscious. So it puts it in the higher levels of our brain. So I'll let you talk about the movie that I know that you're thinking of in your head right now, if you want to. But it moves it into the higher levels of our brain and into our motives, essentially. And it actually drives all of our other thoughts, memories, and motives. So even our subconscious actions that we do throughout the day, for example, walking by the candy bowl,
Yep.
it could hopefully cause us not to grab a piece of candy because we've internalized that motive of, I'm going to be 243. I'm going to be 243. So really focusing that, speaking it into existence and focusing on it does really work.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. The movie is Inside Out. So if anybody hasn't seen Inside Out.
Great movie.
And it's a cartoon, so you can watch it with your grandkids or kids.
Actually accurate.
And it is very accurate. So how it was written, they actually worked with neuroscientists and brainy people to make sure that the layout and the framework was based in science, even though you don't feel like it in the movie.
It's so much fun. I love that movie.
It's such a great movie, and it's entertaining for kids. But as an adult, you can still watch it, and you're like, oh my gosh, that is how the brain works. And there's Inside Out 1 and Inside Out 2. Inside Out 2. I mean, I think I cry in both of those.
Yes.
Bing bong. And then in the second one, I really relate to it because they bring in anxiety, which is this is why I love art and theater so much, because they're able to portray it in a way that allows you to connect it to how it would show up for you in real life. And then you can read that kind of stuff in a book all day long, but if you can't see how it actually affects you and manifests in your life, I don't know that it could relate to it on the level it could benefit you the most from. In the movie, in the first movie, Inside Out, there is a scene where they're in the annals of the brain, and there's all of these shelves, and it's a visual of how your brain,
A warehouse, basically.
a warehouse of your thoughts and how thoughts move from a higher level to a lower level, and that actually is accurate. And what we're doing is you're taking the number you want to be and you're just moving it up to a higher shelf. So there's the song that you remember when you were 10 years old, and it was this gum commercial, which they have something like
That's
that.
the example in the movie.
I think it's the example in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's this song that kind of keeps coming up for her. And it's funny because the workers in the warehouse will like every so often randomly throw it up to the top, so that she can remember it. And, you see her singing it. And how many of us do that exact thing? It's so relatable to real life and how we live and what shows up in a way that we don't think to even explain. And then when you see it in the movie, it's really sweet. But so your thoughts are hierarchical in a sense. And they really are. So when you're putting something to the top, saying 243 is what I really want to focus on, what I want to do, subconsciously your brain will work to figure out how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other side of that I want to explore, and we haven't talked about this, is the number is the number. And I think it's important to focus on that as a goal. But then there's all of the process that supports that maybe we didn't spend enough time on that time around the mountain, which is why we had to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
We focused on the number. We got to the number, but there was a piece missing when it comes to the inputs and the process, because the number is the output. So you've got IPO, right? If anybody is in the corporate world or
Mm-hmm.
some kind of processes, you have input, you have a process, and then that equals the output. A lot of times, especially in meetings, we talk about the output. We want to get to $1 million. We want to get to increasing this productivity by 20%. Whatever the outcome of it is, we want to get to 155.
That's the goal. That's what we
the
focus
goal.
on. Yeah.
That the number is the goal. We step on the scale in the morning and we look at that number because that is the output we want to verify that we're working towards. But that's all we were focused on in that moment. So I want to be careful that
Yes,
we
yeah.
cover this, because there is two other components to it that makes up some of the secret sauce. The output is only one thing. If you only focus on the output, what is the strategy to get there? What are you going to do to change your habits every day to get there and then sustain it?
That is correct. Focusing on the output is actually not the way to do it.
It's
So-
not, but that's the first thing we look at.
Yeah.
That's the
So,
first thing
yeah,
we do.
Everything we just said is like, just focus on the output and you'll get there. That's not accurate.
So I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
pull this
yes,
full circle.
Thank you. Thank you for pulling that back. Yes.
So the process
and the
getting-
inputs
and the inputs.
too.
Okay, so let's
even
talk
take it back
about
there.
a couple of them, because we could do a whole one on IPO
Mm-hmm.
of what this
We
could look
probably
like.
should.
Well, let's just go into it
Yeah.
quickly, since
Yeah.
we've talked about it, but we
Yeah.
can go into a deeper one, because this actually was on self-perception theory, and it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
delved
it's going
into-
somewhere else.
yeah.
But no, this is good. Yeah. So inputs, I mean, what we eat
Yeah.
is so important.
What are the calories I'm going to go for? What are the macros I'm going to go for?
Yep.
How much water am I going to have? How much sleep do I need to be my best? Maybe I need 7 hours. Maybe I'm someone who needs 9, because the quality I'm getting on my Apple Watch or Fitbit or however we're tracking our sleep isn't a good quality. Even though I'm in bed for 9
Mhm.
hours, I'm only asleep for 6.
And then the process would be more, are you tracking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing to support the boundaries around your sleep?
Yes.
That's the process. So my process, the inputs are what you're doing to get there, but then the process around what you're doing to get there. So the inputs and the process can get a little, they
cross over a little bit.
cross over a little bit, but the process would be, I'm putting on my blue light blocking glasses at
Mhm.
2-3 hours before bed. And when I'm watching TV in the living room, I'm turning down the temperature in the house, because I know optimally I actually need to sleep around 67 degrees for my body to produce the melatonin that it needs for me to go into sleep. I'm making sure that I'm not watching something that is so exciting that my brain is wired when I finally get to sleep, or reading something. A lot of people will read before bed, but if reading something excites you, that might not be the best thing for you before bed. I'm not having a hard conversation with my kids right before I go to sleep, or my husband, because that's you want to calm things down. You want to tell your body it's time to wind down, and we need to start to produce the melatonin so that we can get the deep sleep that we need. And when you're doing it is a big deal. That's also part of the process. Do you sometimes start your bedtime routine at 10 o'clock, or is it midnight? And then there needs to be some consistency around that. So that's all a part of the process. My process also is I fill up my water bottle before I go to bed the night before. So when I wake up, I have 40 ounces ready to go. I lay out my clothes.
Yep.
I'm the butler for me the night before, for me the next day, so that when I get up, I'm not even making a decision on what I need to wear, what I need to eat, because it's already done. That's all a part of the process. That I'm not sure I can say that time around the mountain, even though we were like writing the numbers,
Right.
there was focus. There was focus, but the focus wasn't exactly on the identity behind making the process a part of who we were going to
Right.
be forever. There was still this diet mentality behind it that when I get to the goal, I no longer have to do this
The
anymore.
journey is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've made it.
Now I can go
I've
back to my
arrived.
ding dongs and,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
chips and
Yeah.
blizzards and
Yeah.
things will just be fine.
That attention density and emotional intensity is almost just like a fun little trick or tip to just try.
It's the
It's
tipping
not
point of
yeah,
who you have to become.
right,
It's not
Right.
just for a short period of time.
right.
If you don't also find some joy in the process, it's not going to be sustainable.
Exactly.
You have to find, I'm not saying you're going to love every bit of this journey.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, it's life.
But there has to be something about the process you enjoy. There has to be something about drinking the water that you find joyful. Maybe it isn't actually drinking the water, but it's how you feel when you drink the water, the clarity your mind has. Maybe it's not the bathroom trips. Like, I didn't love that part. I don't love being out in public and having to pee so bad. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to hold it. Like,
Or
where
having to pee 3 times while you're just having dinner.
Yeah.
Like, I have to get up again.
a
Like,
part of my process when I'm traveling or going anywhere new is finding the bathroom.
oh, yeah. Where is it? Am I close to it? Or like booking my seat on the plane.
Yeah. I love the window seat, but I never get to sit there.
I'm going to sit in the aisle. And if I can't get a seat in the aisle, I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah. Well,
Now I have to crawl over this person.
yeah. And I'll be like, look, I got to pee, get up.
Again, I'm sorry, I'm that person.
Yeah,
I
this
drink
is
a lot of water.
3-hour flight. I'm going to get up 3 times.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Apparently I have problems.
If you want to switch me seats, I'd be fine. I
Yeah.
love the window seat, but
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's the biggest thing. There is one more piece that kind of goes with the self-perception theory. And it's a bit of information I came across. I thought this one was super interesting. It's a perception effect. So when we look in the mirror, like if you're sitting in front of the mirror in the morning, you're about 3 to 5 feet back from the mirror, right? At that distance, your brain starts to make small little adjustments. You're moving, you're blinking, you're adjusting your posture, you're controlling angle lighting. Your brain integrates things in a different way. So there's many frames over time, and it can smooth out some of the rough edges a little bit. So when you look at yourself at 355 pounds in the mirror, you might not see the same thing you see when you see a stagnant picture of yourself. So day to day, and a lot of times I wouldn't even look in the mirror because I didn't
Yeah.
love what I saw
Yeah.
anyways. But if I did catch a glimpse, my brain was automatically doing those small adjustments. But there's something about, and I hear this over and over and over again, all of a sudden someone snapped a picture of you at some party and you weren't prepared. You didn't hide your body behind the 3 people that were in front of you. You didn't
Suck it in.
suck it in and turn
Yeah.
to the side.
Yeah.
Make sure they were above you instead of below you.
Yeah.
You didn't control all of the variables to make sure that that picture was the best it could be. And then it's posted online and you see it and you're like,
That's not me.
holy crap, that's what I look like.
Yeah.
That's typically the point where someone will take action because they're like, that your brain can't make the small adjustments that it does in the mirror when it sees that stagnant picture. It's a freeze of one instant, which your brain can't adjust for. Mirrors give your brain a moving, familiar average, but photos, it's frozen. There's no running from that.
There's 2 photos of me that I remember like this. And I'm like, that is not me. There's a picture of me in Florida.
Oh God, you hate that picture.
Remember? And I was like, Lori, don't ever post that picture of
You
me.
have a very odd expression on your face
Well,
too.
yeah. Looks like I'm like smelling a fart. It's hilarious. I was like, don't ever post that picture of me. But I look like I was stung by bees.
That's what we say at our heavies. We're like, I look like I either ate someone or I was
I
stung
look like
by
I
bees.
ate myself, basically. And there was another one where we were at a friend's wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's probably, I post that one as
Both
a
of us.
before.
Yeah. That's a great before picture of us.
Mine is the one at the AMAs that I
Okay.
post a lot. I'm in that purple
Okay. Yeah.
jumpsuit. That's probably one of my heaviest. That
Yep,
one
I know that picture of you
with the
too.
wedding
Yep.
one.
Yeah. It's just funny because I have those, didn't even think of it until now, but those are two pictures I have in my brain that when I look at those pictures, I don't even, it doesn't even look like me. That's not how I look like in the mirror when I look at myself. But it's just interesting. So true. Everything you just said is so true.
I get
Happened to
so
me.
many people that come to what they're doing because of a picture they saw.
Thank God for cameras.
I guess.
I mean, it's interesting that the brain does this. We have something in class. Some people say seeing is believing.
Yeah.
It's actually the opposite. It's believing is seeing. So it's interesting. There's a lot of theories and activities and concepts that you can show where this is true. We see what we believe. The mind can play tricks on us to make us see whatever we believe.
Yeah.
The mind is a very interesting organ in our bodies. So this is just one other interesting concept that proves it.
Go deeper into that a little bit. Do you have an example of?
I don't know if I have a good one, to be honest with you. There's
The believing is seeing.
there's a couple different tools we use. We don't use them anymore. Well, there's one that I'll use, and I don't know if it's a good one to explain because so many of them are visual. So it's really hard to explain on a podcast. There's one where it's called the fusiform, is a part in our brain where as babies we're born with this ability. And it's the ability for us to recognize a human face. And it's for safety. So if a little baby is ever stranded out there in the wild, just think caveman days, essentially. If a baby ever recognizes another human face, they recognize it as their own kind, and they'll feel safe. Okay, this is my kind, my people, I'm okay. Whereas an animal, they'll recognize that maybe there's danger and they won't approach. So it's called the fusiform. Well,
Spell that.
I think it's FUSIFORM.
Okay.
Maybe. I think that's how you spell it. So we have this in our brains. We're born with it. Instinct. So sorry, I just cleared my throat. That was probably really loud. So if you take a mask, think like Phantom of the Opera type mask, but a full mask. If you rotate it to the inside, the face is concave. So a face is protruding outwards, the nose.
We could put the link to it in the show notes so
let's do
people
that.
can.
This is so hard to explain on a podcast, so I'm sorry if I'm not doing this well, but we'll put a link so you guys can see it. A face when you're looking straight, like a true human face, the nose is protruding outwards, the lips are protruding outwards. But a mask, if you rotate it to the inside, everything is concave. The nose goes inside, the mouth goes inside, even the eye sockets go inside. That's not how a face is shaped. And your brain actually will flip it to be protruding outwards.
It's the wildest video.
Yeah.
I actually
It's
can't
crazy.
wait for them to see it. We have to post. It's a quick video, guys. I'll post it in the show notes.
Your brain can't
Process.
conceive it. It can't process it. So it just
It's like, that's not true. This is true.
Yeah,
And
it's
it redoes it for you.
it's like, that's not right. I can't. Nope. That can't happen. That's not how the human face. The fusiform is like that can't happen. So I'm just going to flip it and believing. It's like, I can't believe that. So you're going to see this. It just completely flips it for you. So that's one example. There's some other ones, but
No, that's a really
Yeah.
good one. And I think it shows the power of the brain to believe what it can in the moment.
yeah.
And it will change things because it hasn't been able to believe it any other way.
Yeah.
Am I saying that in what?
Yeah. Yeah. Perception as reality is kind of, that's true in so many ways.
Self-perception theory.
Yeah. This is an interesting one. I'm glad you brought this up. I had never heard of this, so that's very cool. Until next time, stay curious.
Keep experimenting.